Before we dive in, if you're someone who loves books that wake you up, shift your mindset, and help you take back control of your life, hit that like button, subscribe to BookMind, and turn on the bell so you never miss a life book summary. Now let's get started. Asterisk, what if the life you're living right now, your habits, your mindset, your relationships, isn't even close to your full potential? What if, buried inside you, there's a stronger, wiser, and unstoppable version of yourself waiting to be unleashed? That's exactly what Tony Robbins believes, and Awaken the Giant Within is your invitation to finally break free. Welcome to Book, where we break down the world's most powerful books into actionable, emotional, and transformative audiobook-style summaries. Today, we're unpacking Awaken the Giant Within, not just a motivational book, but a step-by-step guide to radical self-mastery from one of the most respected personal development leaders in the world. Asterisk, who is Tony Robbins, and why does this book matter? Tony Robbins has spent decades coaching presidents, elite athletes, CEOs, trauma survivors, and millions of everyday people. His work goes beyond hype. It's about lasting change. Awaken the Giant Within, published in 1991, is one of his most iconic works. It's not filled with fluff or vague inspiration. It's packed with practical psychology, emotional mastery techniques, and actionable strategies to help you take control of your emotions, redefine who you are, and finally, start living the life you were meant for. And decades after it was published, it's still changing lives. And in this summary, you'll discover why. Asterisk, what this book can do for you if you feel stuck in your habits. If you know you're capable of more but keep falling short. If your goals always seem out of reach. This book will give you the mental blueprint to break through. Tony Robbins teaches that change happens the moment you make a real decision. Not when you're ready. Not when the timing is perfect, but the moment you decide, enough is enough. My life changes now. That's the giant within you, and this book is how you awaken it. Asterisk, the core message, change is instant. Tony challenges the popular belief that change takes years. He says, change doesn't take time, it only takes a moment. A moment of emotional clarity, a moment of truth, a moment where you raise your standards and never look back. And this book walks you step by step through how to create those moments in your mindset, your health, your finances, your identity, and your relationships. Asterisk, the book is built on 3 core principles. 1. Master your emotions, because your emotions drive your behavior, and when you learn to direct your state, you take control of your life. Point 2. Master your decisions. All progress begins with a decision. Every breakthrough you want, from confidence to wealth to love, is just one powerful decision away. 3. Master your identity. You act in line with who you believe you are. Change your identity, and your behavior will follow. Asterisk, what you'll learn in this full summary, we'll walk through each major chapter and core concept of Awaken the Giant Within, including the power of decisions, how to raise your standards, how to change limiting beliefs, the psychology of lasting change, and how to create a compelling vision that pulls you forward. We've distilled hundreds of pages into a clear, engaging, and emotionally driven experience made for thinkers, dreamers, and doers. Asterisk, one more time, before we begin. If this kind of personal growth content resonates with you, help support the channel. Like this video, subscribe to BookMind, and share it with someone who's ready to unlock their next level, because once you awaken, you don't go back to sleep. Asterisk, Chapter 1. Dreams of Destiny. You decide your life. In life, you need either inspiration or desperation. Chapter 1 of Awaken the Giant Within is more than just an introduction. It's Tony Robbins grabbing you by the shoulders and saying, wake up, your life is yours to shape, but only if you decide to. Tony opens the chapter by asking the most important question of all. What do you really want for your life? Not just what you think you should want, not what society says, but you deep down when you're honest. Because the truth is, most people are sleepwalking. They're reacting, surviving, drifting, not creating. They're caught in a pattern of repeating the past, calling it a life. Tony says, that ends now. Asterisk, your decisions, not your conditions, shape your destiny. The core message here is that your decisions, not your circumstances, determine your destiny. Not your background, not your education, not your failures, not your trauma. What matters most is what you decide right now, today, about who you are, what you're capable of, and what you're no longer willing to tolerate. That's not about positive thinking. It's about personal power, the ability to make a real decision and follow through. Robbins defines a real decision as something you act on until action happens. You haven't truly decided, you've just preferred. Asterisk the pain of indecision. Most people are trapped in indecision. They say, one day I'll change. I really should fix this. I'll start next year, when things calm down. But indecision is still a decision. Choosing to do nothing is still a choice, and it has consequences. Tony calls out the fact that too many people wait for external change instead of realizing that change comes from within. You must stop waiting and start deciding, because without decisions, nothing changes. Asterisk a defining moment can change everything. Robbins introduces the idea of a defining moment, a single experience or shift that changes the direction of your life forever. Think about it. Can you remember a time when one decision altered everything? You chose to leave a relationship. You committed to your health. You finally started something you'd put off for years. That wasn't luck. That was power. And you've had it all along. Tony says the giant within you is awakened the moment you realize, I can change anything, starting now. Asterisk 3 decisions that control every moment. Here's a simple but powerful framework Tony introduces. At every moment of your life, you're making 3 key decisions. What to focus on, what it means, what to do about it. These 3 choices shape your emotional state, your behavior, and ultimately your results. Let's say you get rejected from a job. If you focus on failure, you'll feel discouraged. If you decide that means you're not good enough, you'll spiral. If your action is to give up, your future reflects that. But what if you shift the focus? What if you decide it means this wasn't aligned for me? What if your action is applying again, but better prepared? Different decision equals different destiny. Asterisk your past does not equal your future. One of the most powerful lessons from this chapter is this: your past does not equal your future unless you live there. Whatever you've done up to now is irrelevant, unless you decide to keep repeating it. You can choose a new pattern, a new belief, a new way of seeing yourself. It doesn't take 5 years, it takes a decision. Tony reminds us that real change begins with raising your standards, not just saying I want more, but deciding, I will no longer settle for this. I will no longer identify with weakness. I will live at a higher level starting today. Your new identity begins with a decision. Tony explains that one decision can create a new identity, and once your identity changes, your behaviors naturally follow. For example, the moment you decide, I am no longer a smoker, not trying to quit, but fully done, everything changes. When you decide, I am the kind of person who respects my body, you begin to act accordingly. When you say, I am someone who follows through, you begin to train your brain to believe it. This isn't about faking confidence. It's about aligning with who you really are. The version of you that's been buried under fear and excuses. Asterisk, key insight. The door to change is always open. You don't need permission. You don't need a plan to start. You just need to decide. Once you do, the plan will show up. The energy will return. The clarity will follow. Because when you commit, you awaken something bigger inside you. The giant doesn't need more time. The giant needs a reason. Asterisk, chapter 2, decisions, the pathway to power. Asterisk, it is in your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped. Tony Robbins. This chapter builds on a truth we were introduced to in chapter 1, that decisions are the ultimate power we have. But here, Tony goes deeper. He wants you to see that every emotion you feel, every result you create, and every breakthrough you desire, starts with a choice. So why don't most people change? Not because they're lazy, not because they're broken, but because they don't understand the art and science of making decisions, decisions that stick, and decisions that create identity-level transformation. Asterisk why decisions are the ultimate power. According to Tony, the most powerful force in the human experience is the power to decide. Think about it. You can decide to walk away from pain. You can decide to start something new, even when you're afraid. You can decide to stop tolerating less than you deserve right now. But here's the catch. Most people never actually decide. They hesitate. They think about it. They wait for the perfect moment. That isn't power. That's passivity in disguise. Tony Robbins defines a real decision as one where you cut off all other possibilities. In fact, the word decide comes from Latin de meaning off, and cede meaning to cut. A true decision means you burn the boats. There's no turning back. Every decision creates emotion. Tone explains that we don't just decide with logic, we decide based on emotion. And those emotions are influenced by what we focus on, the meaning we give things, and the standards we've set for ourselves. So, if you're feeling stuck or afraid, it's not a willpower issue. It's likely a focus or meaning problem. Ask yourself, am I focusing on what I can control, or what I fear? Am I giving this situation an empowering meaning, or a defeating one? Am I deciding from my highest self, or from my past conditioning? The quality of your life comes down to the quality of your decisions, and the quality of your decisions depends on the quality of your thinking. Asterisk, the 3 decisions shaping your life. Every single day Tony outlines 3 decisions we're making in every moment, whether we're conscious of them or not. What am I going to focus on? Well, you focus on, you feel. Focus on failure, and you'll feel stuck. Focus on progress, and you'll feel momentum. What does this mean? Meaning equals emotion. If you lose your job and decide it means I'm worthless, you'll shut down. If you decide it means it's time to level up, you'll rise. What am I going to do about it? Action creates confidence. Even small steps build power. When taken with intent, most people let these 3 decisions happen by default. This book and this chapter is about taking those choices back into your own hands. Asterisk, small decisions equals massive consequences. Robbins gives example after example of how the smallest decisions create ripple effects in our lives. The decision to reach out or withdraw in a relationship, the decision to eat something healthy or numb out with food, the decision to read one more page or scroll for another hour. None of these feel life-altering in the moment, but they compound. Your current life is the result of thousands of tiny decisions, many made unconsciously. The good news, you can start making new ones today. Asterisk, rebuilding your decision-making muscle. Tony says that decision-making is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Here's how to start building it. Make decisions quickly. Overthinking weakens your power. Follow through immediately. Reinforce the decision with action. Celebrate progress. Every win builds confidence. Don't fear mistakes. Wrong decisions teach you faster than no decision. The real failure isn't making a bad decision. It's not deciding at all. You are always one decision away. You're always one decision away from changing your health, rewriting your story, healing a relationship, creating your future. But that decision won't arrive. You have to create it. Robbins writes, anytime you sincerely decide to make a change, you're instantly in a new reality. That doesn't mean the outside world changes in 1 second, but your identity shifts, and identity drives behavior. Key insight: clarity creates power. Clarity is the first step toward decision. You can't make strong decisions if you're unclear on who you want to become, what you want to stand for, what you're no longer willing to accept. So take the time to reflect, journal, get still, and then choose powerfully. Asterisk, Chapter 3, the force that shapes your life. Beliefs have the power to create and the power to destroy. In this chapter, Tony Robbins reveals what he calls the invisible force driving every decision you make, every emotion you feel, and every result you experience. That force, belief, not luck, not talent, not even environment, but the internal system of beliefs that runs quietly in the background of your life, shaping your identity, your expectations, and your actions. If decisions shape your destiny, as we learned in Chapter 2, then beliefs shape your decisions. What exactly is a belief? A belief is just a feeling of certainty about something. It's not necessarily true, but if you believe it, it becomes true for you. Tony says beliefs are like commands to the nervous system. They tell your brain what to notice, what to fear, what to chase, and what's even possible. For example, if you believe you're bad at relationships, you'll self-sabotage intimacy. If you believe you're not smart, you'll avoid growth opportunities. If you believe you can handle anything, you'll face challenges with courage. Your beliefs become filters. They don't just interpret reality, they create it. Where do beliefs come from? We aren't born with beliefs. They're shaped by our upbringing, emotional experiences, especially pain or success culture, media and education, repetition of thoughts over time, and most of us never consciously choose them. We inherit them, we absorb them, we accept them without challenge. Tony argues that if you want to change your life, you have to start by changing your beliefs, especially the ones that are limiting your potential. Limiting beliefs versus empowering beliefs. There are 2 types of beliefs. 1. Limiting beliefs. These are beliefs that cage you, that make your world smaller. They often sound like, I'm just not good at that, I don't deserve success, people can't be trusted, I'll never change. Even if you work hard, if your underlying belief is negative, you'll find ways to prove it right. Why? Because the brain loves consistency, even if it means reinforcing a lie. 2. Empowering beliefs. These expand your sense of possibility. They move you forward. Examples: there's always a way if I'm committed. I am the source of my emotions. I'm constantly growing and improving. These beliefs liberate energy. They unlock courage. They give you permission to evolve. Beliefs create identity, and identity creates action. One of the boldest statements Tony makes in this chapter is this: The strongest force in the human personality is the need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves. If you believe, I'm just a procrastinator, you'll act accordingly. If you decide, I'm a disciplined creator, that's who you become. You don't need a new personality, you need a new set of beliefs about what's possible for you. The shift begins with a simple, powerful question. What do I have to believe in order to become the version of me I dream about? How to break a limiting belief. Tony gives us a practical framework to challenge and change beliefs. Identify the belief. Ask, what do I believe that might be holding me back? Challenge the belief. Is it true? Where did it come from? What is it costing me? Interrupt the pattern every time it arises. Question it. Laugh at it. Don't reinforce it. Replace it with a new, empowering belief. Use emotional intensity. Repeat it. Visualize it. Condition it. Example, old belief, I always mess things up. New belief, I learn fast and get better every time. This isn't fake positivity, it's conscious mental reprogramming. The power of one belief. Tone shares stories of people whose entire lives changed after changing one single belief. Like the man who believed he couldn't speak publicly, until he decided he could. He went on to lead teams and inspire thousands. The woman who believed love always ends in pain until she saw that belief for what it was. A pattern from the past, not a fact. Beliefs aren't facts, they're choices, and at any moment, you can choose a new one. Belief is the beginning of breakthrough. Robbins emphasizes, if you want to create lasting change, don't just change your behavior, change your beliefs, because behavior follows belief. Want to change how you speak? Believe you have something worth saying. Want to change how you show up? Believe you're already enough. Want to change how you earn money? Believe wealth is available to you. The belief comes before the evidence. Once you believe, your brain will find the proof. Asterisk, Chapter 4. Belief systems, the power to create and destroy. Beliefs are the compass and maps that guide us toward our goals and give us the surety to know we'll get there. Tony Robbins. This chapter is a turning point because now that you understand how beliefs shape your life, Tony takes you deeper into belief systems, the networks of thoughts that either empower or enslave you. He calls beliefs the foundation of all personal power and warns that the same force that can create your dreams can also destroy your potential. If left unexamined, let's dive into how to break the chains of limitation and replace them with beliefs that drive confidence, growth, and freedom. What is a belief system? A belief system isn't just one thought. It's a web of beliefs that support one another. They create your internal world, your emotional reactions, your sense of what's possible. Think of it like a building. Your core beliefs are the foundation. Your supporting beliefs are the walls. Your daily thoughts are the decorations. If your foundation is built on fear, unworthiness, or scarcity, no matter how much you redecorate, the whole structure is fragile. So Robbins challenges you to not just fix surface problems, but go deep and reconstruct your mental architecture. Beliefs are not truth, they're just perceptions. One of the biggest wake-up calls in this chapter is this: beliefs are not inherently true, they are simply convictions we've developed over time. You might believe, you're bad at money, you always attract toxic partners, you can't speak confidently, you're not creative, but that doesn't mean any of it is actually true. These beliefs likely came from a painful memory, a single comment from someone you trusted, a failure that you turned into a story. Robbins reminds us, you are not your past. You are your potential. The mechanics of belief, how beliefs are formed. Tony explains that beliefs are formed by emotional intensity and repetition. Here's how it works. You experience a strong emotional event, positive or negative. You make a decision about what it means. That meaning becomes a belief. You reinforce that belief over time, often without noticing. Eventually, it feels like truth. But if beliefs were built, they can be rebuilt. This is where your real power begins, not in hoping your life improves, but in engineering the thoughts that drive it. Asterisk, beliefs as weapons of creation or destruction. Beliefs are neutral tools like fire. They can warm a home or burn it down. Empowering beliefs create confidence, resilience, courage, vision. Destructive beliefs create fear, inaction, self-sabotage, shame. 1. Core belief can determine whether you rise up or give up in the face of failure. That's why Tony emphasizes, you must learn to choose your beliefs with intention, not inherit them from fear, parents, society, or trauma. Asterisk, how to destroy a limiting belief. Robbins gives us a process to dismantle limiting beliefs and rebuild a stronger mental system. Identify the belief, get specific. What exactly do you believe about yourself or the world that's hurting you? Get leverage. Associate deep pain to the belief. Ask, how has this belief cost me in the past? What is it costing me now? What will it cost me in the future? Interrupt the pattern emotionally. Break the association. Use humor, intensity, shock, anything to disrupt the certainty of the belief. Create a new, empowering belief, one that feels powerful, exciting, and aligned with who you want to become. Condition it with emotion and repetition. Say it daily. Write it, visualize it, feel it. Make it part of your nervous system. Example, from destructive to empowering. Let's say your limiting belief is, I always mess up under pressure. You challenge it and realize that belief came from one embarrassing moment in school, not from your core identity. You replace it with, pressure activates my focus and clarity. You visualize yourself staying calm in tough situations. You act on it. You build momentum. Suddenly you're creating new evidence and the old belief weakens. That's power. Asterisk. Stack your beliefs like building blocks. Stone encourages us to build. Belief references emotional memories that reinforce your new belief. Every time you overcome fear, finish a goal, speak your truth, follow through, you collect new evidence that strengthens your empowering belief. The more references you build, the more unshakable you become. Asterisk. The belief blueprint. Here's a simple formula Tony suggests for daily transformation. Step 1. What do I believe about this area of life? Step 2. Is that belief serving me? Step 3. What belief would move me forward? Step 4. How can I feel that belief emotionally today? This isn't about lying to yourself. It's about building mental and emotional alignment with the future you want. Chapter 5. Can change happen in an instant? Change happens in an instant. It's the moment you finally decide. Tony Robbins. This chapter is a direct challenge to one of the biggest myths in self-help, that transformation takes years, that it's a long, painful process, that you have to struggle endlessly before something finally clicks. Tony Robbins says no, real lasting change doesn't take time. It takes a moment of decision and everything shifts. So the question isn't how long will it take you to change. The question is, how long will you wait before you finally decide? The truth about time and change: most people believe that change is linear, that we evolve step by step, over years and decades. But Tony teaches that real change, the kind that rewires your identity, happens in a single defining moment. Here's how you hit a breaking point. You decide never again. You choose a new standard. You follow it with action right away. That's the shift. Not months of slow improvement, but a snap moment when your identity aligns with your vision. And the longer you delay that moment, the longer you stay stuck. Think about it. Your life has already changed in moments. Look at your past. There were moments that changed everything. A decision to walk away from someone, a sudden insight that redefined yourself, a failure that woke you up, a realization that I can't live like this anymore. In those moments, your story changed, not because you had a new routine, but because you had a new standard. Tony's message is simple but powerful. If you've changed in an instant before, you can do it again on purpose. What actually takes time? The decision is instant, but the preparation, the build-up of pain, doubt, fear, or reflection, that's what takes time. We often confuse that time as part of the change. But at ISN single quotes T. Example, a smoker might think it took 10 years to quit, but the actual transformation happened the moment they said, I'm done. I'm no longer that person. The rest, conditioning and reinforcement. The real barrier, commitment. If you haven't changed something yet, it's not because you don't know how. It's because, deep down, you haven't fully committed. Robbins writes, in order to create change, you must raise your standards and turn your shoulds into musts. Here's the truth. Saying I should work out changes nothing. Saying I must move every day because I value my energy and body creates momentum. Commitment isn't about trying, it's about deciding that there's no turning back, and proving it with immediate action. The 3 steps to creating instant change. Tony gives us a powerful, 3-part formula to create lasting change in any area of life. 1. Raise your standards. Decide that what you once tolerated, you no longer accept, from yourself or from others. Ask, who do I want to become? What does that version of me refuse to settle for? This internal shift is the foundation of change. 2. Change your limiting beliefs. As covered in previous chapters, beliefs are the gatekeepers of identity. Replace. It's hard to change with change happens the moment I decide. I can't with I must and I will. That's just who I am with. That's who I was, not anymore. 3. Change your strategy. Find a better method. Model someone who's already doing it. Get guidance. Take new action. Remember, strategy follows state. Until you believe in the change, no strategy will work. The power of decision, Tony says. A real decision is measured by the fact that you've taken a new action. If there's no action, you haven't truly decided. We often mistake wanting for deciding, but they're not the same. Wanting says, "It would be nice if." Deciding says, "I will, no matter what." When you make a decision backed by emotion and action, you tap into something deeper, your personal power, and that power becomes the seed for permanent change. Apply this to any area of your life. Ask yourself, where in my life have I been trying instead of deciding? What have I made optional that needs to become non-negotiable? What belief is delaying my transformation? And then ask the question Tony wants everyone to answer. If I were to change this right now, what's the first step I'd take? Then, take it immediately. Because nothing changes until you move. Chapter 6. How to change anything in your life. The science of neuroassociative conditioning. If we want to change anything in our lives, we must associate massive pain to the old behavior and massive pleasure to the new one. Tony Robbins, welcome to one of the most powerful chapters in the entire book. This is where Tony moves from motivation to method. He introduces a system called neuroassociative conditioning, NAC, a science-backed approach to create lasting change at the subconscious level. So if you've ever asked, why do I keep doing what I know is bad for me? Why do I start strong but fall back into old patterns? How do I rewire my brain for good? This chapter answers that. Let's break it down. What is neuroassociative conditioning? Neuroassociative conditioning, NAC, is Tony's system for retraining your nervous system so your behaviors, habits, and emotions begin to work for you instead of against you. The key idea is this: human behavior is driven by the need to avoid pain and gain pleasure. That's it. We don't act based on logic, we act based on emotional associations. If your brain links pain to exercising, you'll avoid it. If it links pleasure to junk food, you'll crave it. If it links fear to public speaking, you'll freeze every time. The goal of NAC is to rewire these associations so that you instinctively move toward the habits, behaviors, and choices that empower your life. Pain and pleasure, the drivers of all behavior. Tony makes it clear, everything we do is to either avoid pain or gain pleasure, but here's the twist. We will do more to avoid pain than to gain pleasure. So if your brain associates pain to changing, you'll stay stuck. No matter how badly you want success. That's why NAC starts with breaking that pain link. Tony says, change is never a matter of ability. It's always a matter of motivation. The 6 steps of neuroassociative conditioning. Here's the full NAC process. Tony's formula for rapid permanent change. Step 1. Decide what you really want and what's preventing you. Clarity creates focus. Vague goals equal vague results. Ask, what exactly do I want to change? What behavior or emotion is stopping me? What's the cost of continuing this? You can't change what you're not crystal clear about. Step 2. Get leverage. Associate massive pain to the old behavior and massive pleasure to the new. This step is all about emotional leverage. Visualize your life 1, 3, 5 years from now. If you don't change, make it painful, make it real. Then, flip it. Visualize the freedom, joy, and power of living with the new behavior. You need both. Pain to push you away from the old, pleasure to pull you toward the new. Step 3. Interrupt the limiting pattern. Your brain runs patterns like software. NAC helps you break the loop. Interrupt the habit with a pattern break. Use humor. Change your posture. Do something shocking or different. Pattern interruption weakens the neural link and makes room for a new one. Step 4. Create a new, empowering alternative. You can't just remove a habit, you have to replace it. Ask, what new behavior will give me the pleasure I need in a healthy way? Example, instead of smoking to reduce stress, try breathwork, walking, or journaling. Instead of reacting with anger, replace it with curiosity or deep breathing. The key is to make it feel better than the old pattern, emotionally and physically. Step 5. Condition the new pattern until it's automatic. Repetition is the mother of mastery. You need to reinforce the new pattern with repetition, emotion, movement, visualization, daily action. The more intense and consistent the conditioning, the faster your nervous system adopts it as normal. Tony recommends using incantations, affirmations with movement and emotion, journaling, and visualization exercises daily to embed the new pattern. Step 6. Test it in the real world. Finally, test your new behavior in real-life scenarios. Put yourself in the same situation that used to trigger the old habit and choose the new one. If it works, celebrate it. Reinforce it emotionally. If not, adjust the strategy and try again. That step proves to your brain, this is who I am now. NAC is about identity, not willpower. Willpower fades, motivation fluctuates, but identity is stable. When NAC is done properly, you don't just try to quit smoking, you become a non-smoker. You don't try to eat healthy, you become someone who honors their body. This shift is neurological, and that's why it lasts. Chapter 7. How to get what you really want. Goals are like magnets, they'll pull you in the direction of your dreams. By now, Tony has walked us through the inner world of transformation, beliefs, identity, decisions, and conditioning. Now, we shift from the internal engine to the external roadmap, because it's not enough to believe in change. You need to know what you're aiming for. This chapter is all about clarity. Tony teaches us that if we want to create an extraordinary life, we need to develop the skill of getting crystal clear about what we truly want, and then align every ounce of energy toward it. Let's break it down. Why most people never get what they want. Here's a bold truth from Tony. Most people don't get what they want because they don't know what they want. They've never written it down. They've never imagined it vividly. They've never made it specific or measurable. Instead, they speak in vague terms. I want more money. I want to be happy. I want to lose weight. I want a better relationship. But your brain can't aim at Vega. It needs targets. Just like a guided missile needs coordinates, your mind, body, and habits need direction. That's why setting goals isn't optional. It's a foundation for living with purpose. Step 1. Get crystal clear on what you really want. Ask yourself, what do I truly want in detail? If I knew I couldn't fail, what would I pursue? What does my ideal day, week, year look like? The more specific, the better. Tony recommends creating goals for every major area of life: physical health, emotional and mental states, relationships, career or mission, finances, personal growth, contribution, and giving. When you get specific, you give your mind a direction and your energy follows. Step 2. Make your goals compelling. Now that you know what you want, the next step is to ask why. Why do you want it? What will it give you? How will it feel when you've achieved it? Tony emphasizes this. Reasons come first. Answers come second. A compelling reason lights your internal fire. Because the truth is, some goals won't inspire you even if they're smart. But when a goal is tied to your purpose, your identity, and your emotions, it becomes magnetic. So don't just chase a number. Chase a vision that makes your heart beat faster. Step 3. Focus on results, not just activities. Another trap Tony warns against: confusing motion with progress. People often stay busy, checking off tasks, but those tasks don't move the needle. The key is to stay obsessed with the outcome, not the to-do list. Ask daily, is this getting me closer to what I truly want? What's the one thing I could do today that would move me forward? This creates laser-like focus, which multiplies your impact. Step 4. Write down your goals and review them daily. Here's a statistic Tony shares that will shock you. Fewer than 5% of people have written goals, and those who do are vastly more successful. Writing creates clarity. Reviewing creates alignment. Repeating creates conditioning. Tony suggests reviewing your top goals every morning and every night. Why? Because repetition builds focus, and focus builds belief. When you remind yourself daily of what you want and why, you train your nervous system to filter out distractions and recognize opportunities. Step 5. Take massive, intelligent action. This is where dreams meet the real world. Tony says, the path to success is to take massive, determined action. Massive doesn't mean reckless, it means bold, consistent effort with intensity and direction. Start small, but start now. Even a single step builds momentum, and momentum builds confidence. Remember, action creates feedback. Feedback creates progress, and every result, good or bad, teaches you something. Step 6. Celebrate wins and adjust quickly. Success isn't just about pushing hard. It's about managing your state. That means celebrating small wins to stay energized, being flexible enough to change strategy when something isn't working, staying emotionally connected to your mission. Tony reminds us, progress equals happiness. So enjoy the journey, not just the destination. Step 7. Reinvent goals as you grow. Here's the final piece. Goals are not fixed. As you evolve, your goals should too. As your identity shifts, your desires will mature. And as you achieve what once seemed impossible, your vision will expand. That's not failure. That's growth. That's growth. So revisit your goals monthly, quarterly, yearly. Stay aligned with who you are becoming, not who you were when you first wrote them. Chapter 8. Questions are the answer. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you ask. This chapter uncovers one of the most Overlooked superpowers in personal transformation, not affirmations, not routines, not even beliefs. Tony Robbins says the most powerful force shaping your emotions, actions, and destiny is your questions. Are not just the big, philosophical questions, but the quiet, repetitive ones you ask yourself every single day. Let's explore how you can change the trajectory of your life, simply by changing the questions running through your mind. Why questions are so powerful. Our brains are problem-solving machines. Whatever question you give your mind, it will find an answer. So if you ask, why am I such a failure? What's wrong with me? Why does this always happen to me? Your brain will generate an answer, even if it's self-destructive. But what if you change the question? What if you asked, what can I learn from this? What's great about this situation? How can I turn this around and grow stronger? Now your brain begins empowering you instead of defeating you. Your mental focus follows your questions. Tony reminds us, whatever you focus on, you feel. Questions direct your focus, and focus creates emotion, and emotion drives behavior. For example, ask, what if I fail? Gives feel anxiety, gives hesitate. Ask, what if this is my breakthrough moment? Gives feel excitement, gives take bold action. Difference isn't in reality, it's in perception, shaped by the questions you're asking. Primary questions, your mental GPS, WE, all have a few primary questions, unconscious questions we ask ourselves constantly. They run beneath the surface and color everything we experience. Examples, how can I protect myself? Gives leads to fear, what's wrong with me? Gives leads to shame, how can I make people like me? Gives leads to people pleasing, what can I learn and give here? Gives leads to growth and contribution. Your job is to identify your default questions and consciously upgrade them. Change your questions. Change your emotions. Let's say you're stuck in a painful situation. Most people ask questions like, why me? What did I do to deserve this? Will it ever get better? But empowering questions might sound like, what's one thing I can control right now? What's great about this that I haven't noticed yet? How can I use this to grow stronger? The moment you ask a better question, your emotional state changes. This is one of Tony's golden rules. If you want to change your life, change your habitual questions. Morning power questions. Tony's practice. Tony gives us a powerful exercise. Ask yourself these 3 questions every morning to prime your mind for confidence and joy. What am I happy about in my life right now? What about that makes me feel good? What am I excited about in my life right now? What makes me feel alive? What am I proud of or grateful for right now? Why is that important to me? You don't need hours. Just 2 to 3 minutes of emotional focus can completely shift your state for the day. Breakthrough questions to disrupt fear in moments of stress or fear. Tony suggests asking, what's not perfect yet, and what can I do to change it? What would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? What's the best thing that could happen next? These questions disrupt fear-based thinking and reconnect you to possibility, and the more often you ask empowering questions, the more your nervous system adapts. Eventually, positive framing becomes your default. Disempowering question, empowering replacement. Why does this always happen to me? What can I learn from this pattern? Why can't I ever succeed? What's a new strategy I haven't tried yet? What's wrong with me? What's great about me that I can grow more of? How do I make them like me? How can I lead and serve from authenticity? Questions shape your identity. When you repeatedly ask questions like, how can I become stronger today? What does the best version of me do in this moment? How can I grow and give in this situation? You're not just changing your mindset, you're redefining your identity. Because the questions you ask direct the choices you make. And choices build character. Chapter 9. The vocabulary of ultimate success. The words you habitually choose affect how you communicate with yourself and therefore what you experience. Tony Robbins talked about beliefs, identity, decisions, and questions, and now we arrive at something deceptively simple but deeply powerful. Your words. In this chapter, Tony Robbins reveals that the language you use, both spoken and internal, directly shapes your emotions, your identity, and ultimately, your destiny. Because words don't just describe reality, they create it. Let's break down how changing your vocabulary can change your life. Words create emotion. Think about it. What's the difference between saying, I'm a little annoyed, versus I'm absolutely furious, I failed, versus I had a learning experience? This is hard, versus this is a challenge I'm excited to master. The words you choose dictate the emotional intensity of what you experience. Tony calls this your transformational vocabulary, the habitual words you use to label your emotions, your circumstances, and your identity. change the label, and you change the feeling. Why most people live in emotional distress. Tony shares a shocking insight. Most people unconsciously use exaggerated, negative language that intensifies their stress and limits their resourcefulness. Instead of saying, "I'm a little frustrated," they say, "I'm overwhelmed." "I feel challenged," becomes "I'm drowning." "It's uncomfortable," becomes "it's a nightmare." These intense labels trigger equally intense emotions, even when the situation doesn't warrant them. Over time, these words become habitual anchors for suffering. The emotional thermostat. Every time you label your experience with a word, you're setting the temperature of your emotions. Imagine your brain like a thermostat. If you keep setting it at panic, failure, or hopeless, your body and mind will comply. But if you reset the language to curious, determined, or challenged, you lower emotional resistance and increase your inner strength. Words are like buttons. They trigger biochemical reactions. Change your words gives change your state, gives change your actions. The science, words and the brain are logically. Your brain doesn't just respond to events, it responds to how you describe those events. Tony references scientific research showing that words activate neural pathways and trigger chemical responses in the body. Saying, "I'm crushed," releases stress hormones. Saying, "I'm learning something important," activates curiosity and calm. This is why vocabulary isn't just communication, it's transformation. How to upgrade your vocabulary gives a practical exercise. Create your personal power vocabulary. Identify your most commonly used negative words. For example, "I'm tired," "This sucks," "I hate this," "I'm stuck." Downgrade them with softer, more playful alternatives. For example, "I'm angry" gives "I'm a little peeved." "I'm exhausted" gives "I'm recharging." "I failed" gives "I'm gaining feedback." Choose high energy, positive words for daily use. Replace good with phenomenal, fine with fantastic, okay with outstanding. This might feel silly at first, but language reshapes identity. And over time, this shift becomes natural, even automatic. Words and identity emphasizes this. The words you use about yourself are the most powerful of all. Be careful with statements like, "I'm lazy," "I'm not smart enough," "I'm not good with people," "That's just who I am." These phrases become self-fulfilling prophecies. Instead, upgrade them to identity-aligned declarations. "I'm becoming more focused every day." "I'm learning how to communicate better." "I am committed to growing stronger." It's not fake, it's intentional identity engineering. Disempowering phrase, empowering replacement. "I'm furious," "I'm feeling challenged." "This is impossible." "This is a creative puzzle." "I'm a failure." "I'm learning rapidly." "I'm so stressed." "I'm rebalancing myself." "This is terrible." "This is unfamiliar, but I'll grow through it." Your inner dialogue is programming you every moment. You're in conversation with yourself. If your internal dialogue is harsh, dramatic, and negative, you'll feel defeated. But if it's compassionate, curious, and empowering, you'll feel energized and in control. Tony reminds us, the words you say to yourself are a form of command to your subconscious. Speak with intention, program your identity, reclaim your inner power. Chapter 10, Destroy the Blocks. Break through the wall. It's not the events of our lives that shape us, but our beliefs as to what those events mean. Every person reaches a moment in life where they feel stuck behind a wall of fear, frustration, failure, or doubt. In this chapter, Tony Robbins gives you the tools to smash through that wall, not slowly, not someday, but now. If you've ever hit a plateau you couldn't overcome, repeated old mistakes despite knowing better, felt like something invisible was holding you back, then this chapter is for you, because it's time to expose the hidden blocks that sabotage success and destroy them at the root. What is the wall? Tony describes the wall as a mental and emotional barrier, invisible boundary your subconscious has built to keep you safe. It's the voice that says, "You're not good enough, don't try, you'll fail again, play it safe, stay in your lane." That dream isn't realistic. It could be fear of rejection, fear of success, guilt, shame, old trauma, or a limiting belief from childhood. Whatever form it takes, the wall isn't real, it's a story. But stories shape lives. Step 1. Identify the real block. To destroy the wall, you must first name it. Ask, what's the recurring emotion or pattern that blocks me? What belief fuels this block? When did I first start believing this? Maybe you always give up right before success because deep down, you fear you don't deserve it. Or maybe you procrastinate because failing feels safer than risking effort and still not being good enough. Awareness is the first hammer swing. Step 2. Attach massive pain to staying stuck. Your brain avoids pain, so use that truth. Tony teaches. Until you link unbearable pain to the pattern, you'll keep repeating it. So ask, what is this block costing me, emotionally, financially, relationally, spiritually? What will it cost me in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? Get emotional, get specific. Imagine the regret. Make it so real and painful that staying stuck is no longer an option. Then flip it. What will freedom feel like? What becomes possible if I break through? This emotional leverage pulls you forward with power. Step 3. Replace the block with a new empowering belief. You don't just knock down a wall. You build a bridge in its place, made of new beliefs. Take the old story. I'm not enough gives, I am more than enough. And I'm growing stronger daily. I always mess things up gives every step I take as a lesson toward mastery. No one supports me gives. I am becoming my own greatest ally, and the right people are drawn to my strength. Write your new belief. Repeat it. Visualize it. Condition it with emotion until it feels real. Step 4. Take immediate, defiant action. This is where breakthroughs become permanent. Robbins says, action is what unearths courage. Once you act, the wall starts to crumble. Whatever the wall is telling you not to do, do that. Apply anyway. Ask anyway. Launch anyway. Forgive anyway. Speak anyway. Even the smallest step sends a shockwave through the old belief. It proves, this story doesn't control me anymore. Step 5. Reinforce the breakthrough. You've cracked the wall. Now cement the shift. Tony recommends, celebrate immediately. Anchor the win with movement, sound, emotion. Visualize your new path daily. See yourself living in power. Surround yourself with people and environments that reflect your new belief. Journal the transformation. Remind yourself how far you've come. The key is to condition the new pattern until it becomes your new identity. Real life example. Sylvester Stallone. Tony shares an iconic story of how Sylvester Stallone faced his wall. He was broke, rejected by hundreds of agents, and living in a dirty apartment, but he refused to sell his Rocky script unless he could star in it. Everyone said no, but he stayed firm, hungry, obsessed, aligned with his new identity. Eventually, he got the deal. He starred in the film, and Rocky became a legend. He destroyed the wall with vision, belief, and relentless action. You can do the same. Chapter 11. Creating a compelling future. People are not lazy. They simply have impotent goals, that is, goals that do not inspire them. Tony Robbins. Welcome to the chapter where vision becomes your fuel. Tony Robbins teaches us that one of the greatest forces in human behavior is the pull of the future we imagine for ourselves. In this chapter, we move beyond pain, fear, or even goals and into the realm of something deeper, a compelling future, a vision so exciting it pulls you forward even on the hardest days. Let's unpack how to build a future that inspires, energizes, and guides you every single day. Why vision is more powerful than willpower. You've probably tried to change something in your life using willpower and burned out. That's because willpower is like a muscle. It fatigues. But vision is different, Tony explains. A compelling future is what drives human behavior more than anything else. It gives your life direction, energy, and meaning. When your future is compelling enough, you don't need to push yourself. It pulls you. You wake up with energy. You handle setbacks with resilience. You keep going because you're emotionally connected to where you're going. The danger of a boring future. Most people don't lack potential. They lack vision. Tony says. If your future feels boring, flat, or vague, you'll default to comfort and distraction. This is why many high performers suddenly burn out. They've achieved goals, but didn't create a next-level future to grow into. Success without vision leads to stagnation, so you need a future that excites your soul, not just your mind. Asterisk. Step 1. Clarify what you really want. Vision begins with clarity. Ask yourself, what do I want to experience in the next 1, 3, 5, and 10 years? Who do I want to become? What impact do I want to make? If I could wave a magic wand, what would my ideal life look like? Tony encourages you to write it down in detail. Describe your ideal day, your career, your relationships, your health, your contribution. Don't edit. Don't be realistic. Be bold. Be specific. Be emotional. Because clarity breeds energy. Asterisk. Step 2. Make it emotionally magnetic. Goals without emotion are like fire without heat. Tony teaches that your vision must be charged with meaning, otherwise it won't move you. To do that, ask why. Do I want this? How will it feel to live this life every day? Who else will benefit when I achieve this? Feel it now. Visualize it. Make it so real in your imagination that your brain thinks it's already happening. That emotional connection is what turns a list of goals into a vision that leads you. Asterisk. Step 3. Link daily habits to your vision. Here's where most people fail. They dream big but act small or inconsistently. Tony's solution. Make your vision the filter for every daily choice. Every action should align with who you are becoming. Working out becomes about honoring your energy to fulfill your purpose. Budgeting becomes about funding your dream lifestyle. Learning becomes about preparing for the impact you'll make. Suddenly, the mundane becomes meaningful because it's connected to your compelling future. Asterisk. Step 4. Review and revise your vision. Often your life is constantly evolving, so your vision should too. Tony suggests reviewing your written vision at least once a month, and visualizing it daily. Ask, what part of this vision still excites me? What needs to evolve based on who I'm becoming? What new insights or dreams do I want to add? This makes your vision a living compass, not a static document. And when it's alive in your mind, it naturally shapes your behavior. Asterisk. Real life example. Nelson Mandela. Tony shares how Mandela, after 27 years in prison, kept a compelling future alive in his mind. He imagined freedom, he imagined reconciliation, he imagined leading his nation with peace and dignity. And when the world finally opened the gates, he was ready, because his vision had already shaped his spirit. That's the power of a compelling future. It prepares you for greatness before the world catches up. Asterisk. Quick vision exercise. Try this now. Take 5 minutes and write down answers to these. What does my ideal life look like 3 years from now? How do I feel waking up each day in that life? What habits, people, and environments support that vision? What's one step I can take today to move closer? This is how you translate imagination into momentum. Asterisk. Chapter 12. The 10-day mental challenge. The only thing keeping you from getting what you want is the story you keep telling yourself about why you can't have it. Tony Robbins. Imagine what your life would look like if, for 10 straight days, you didn't let a single negative thought take root. If you could control your focus, your words, your emotions. If you became the master of your mental state, not just occasionally, but every single moment. In this chapter, Tony introduces a powerful experiment that has transformed thousands of lives. Asterisk. The 10-day mental challenge. A full immersion cleanse for your mind. Let's dive into what it is, how it works, and how it can reset your mindset for life. Asterisk. Why this challenge exists. By now, you've learned about beliefs, identity, questions, language, and vision. But transformation doesn't happen just by knowing. It happens by conditioning. And the 10-day challenge is exactly that. A system for training your mind to focus on what empowers you, interrupt destructive thought patterns, build emotional resilience, create momentum through disciplined positivity. Tony says, you can't afford the luxury of a negative thought, not even for a moment, because each one chips away at your energy, your vision, your power. Asterisk. The truth about mental habits. Most people live in reaction mode. Their mood is dictated by the news, other people, bad traffic, or self-criticism. They think this is normal, but it's not. It's conditioning. Tony explains, your brain is always scanning for danger unless you train it to focus on solutions. That's the whole point of the challenge, to take control of the emotional steering wheel of your life. Asterisk. The rules of the 10-day mental challenge. Let's break it down. Here's what you commit to for 10 consecutive days. Rule number 1, no dwelling on any negative thought or emotion. You are allowed to notice a negative thought, but the moment you become aware of it, you must interrupt it, replace it with a question or empowering belief. Shift your focus within 60 seconds. No complaining, no blaming, no venting or processing negativity. Only solutions, gratitude, and growth. Rule number 2, focus only on what you can control. Negative thoughts often come from obsessing over things we can't change, the past, other people, the economy, etc. But Tony teaches, all suffering comes from wanting things to be different than they are. So during this challenge, you'll focus only on, what's great about this moment? What can I do with what I've got? How can I grow or contribute now? This mindset is freedom, because when you shift your focus, you shift your power. Rule number 3, interrupt and replace all disempowering patterns. This includes self-doubt, catastrophizing, gossip, helpless language, any inner dialogue that makes you small. At how use what Tony has already taught. Transformational vocabulary, power questions, anchoring movement and breath. Shifting physiology. This isn't about pretending problems don't exist. It's about training your brain to respond with resourcefulness. Rule number 4, start over if you slip here. The catch. If you catch yourself indulging in a negative state for more than a minute, the 10-day clock resets to day 1. It's not punishment, it's pattern interruption. It trains your nervous system to treat negative thinking like a virus, something to clear quickly and decisively. This level of discipline builds emotional muscle. Why this is so powerful: most people treat their mental state like the weather, unpredictable and out of their control. But Tony wants you to realize, you are not your emotions. You are the master of your state. By taking full ownership, for 10 straight days, you prove to yourself that you're in control. Weaken old negative patterns, hardwire new empowering habits. Build trust with yourself, and once you've done it for 10 days, you'll never want to go back. Bonus: journaling the challenge. Tony recommends keeping a journal throughout the 10 days. Each evening reflect on, when did I catch and shift a negative thought? What tools or questions helped me the most? What did I learn about myself today? This reflection reinforces your new patterns and deepens real-life results. Thousands have used this challenge to break through depression, eliminate anxiety, rebuild confidence after failure, improve relationships, ignite a new level of mental energy. It's not a theory, it's a battle-tested process. And the only thing it costs is your commitment. Living excellence. Your destiny is now. The path to success is to take massive, determined action. Tony Robbins. After thousands of words, deep insights, and powerful strategies, it all comes down to this moment. Tony Robbins concludes, "Awaken the giant within with one urgent message. You are ready. The time is now. Your destiny isn't someday, it's today. This chapter is not about learning more. It's about finally becoming more. It's a wake-up call to rise, take command of your life, and live in excellence, not eventually, but right now." Let's unpack what that really means. What is excellence? Tony defines excellence not as perfection, but as a lifestyle of growth, courage, and contribution. It's not about getting everything right. It's about choosing to show up fully in every moment. It's when you push yourself past fear and act anyway. When you refuse mediocrity and choose mastery. When you stop reacting and start leading. Living in excellence is a choice, not a result, and it's available to you in every single moment you're alive. The myth of someday. Most people are waiting to feel ready, waiting for more time, waiting for a sign, a mentor, or a perfect plan. But Tony's truth is this: someday is a disease that will take your dreams to the grave. There is no perfect moment. There's only right now, and what you decide to do with it. So ask yourself, what am I postponing? What truth am I pretending not to know? If not now, when? Excellence is a daily standard. You don't become excellent one day. You live excellently every day by mastering the moments in front of you. Tony says, it's what you do daily that shapes who you become permanently.
That means turning off autopilot, replacing reaction with intention, asking better questions, using better language, and making better choices now, because you are conditioning yourself, whether consciously or unconsciously. So why not condition greatness? Live by your standards, not your circumstances. Most people adjust their behavior based on how they feel or what's happening around them. But leaders, giants, rise above that. They don't let life dictate their mood or effort. They lead from within. Tony challenges you to set non-negotiable standards for your life. This is who I am, no matter what. This is how I treat people, even when I'm tired. This is how I show up, especially when it's hard. And when your standards are firm, your outcomes become inevitable. Take massive, intelligent, and consistent action. Here's the final pillar of the book. Action. Tony says, knowledge is not power. Knowledge is only potential power. Action is power. If you've learned anything from this book, act on it. Don't just highlight quotes. Don't just save insights for later. Do something today that reflects who you've decided to become. Whether it's making that phone call, forgiving someone, launching the project, saying yes to your dream, or saying no to what no longer fits. Move now, with boldness. Make it bigger than yourself. One of Tony's final reminders is this: Lasting fulfillment comes not from getting, but from growing and giving. You're not here to live a small, selfish life. You're here to become who you were created to be, and then give your gifts away. So don't just live excellently for your own success. Live excellently to inspire your children, to heal your lineage, to serve your community, to raise the vibration of the world around you. You were born for impact, and now is your time. Your final challenge as you close this book: don't ask, "Did I enjoy this? Was it helpful?" Instead, ask, "Who have I decided to become? What am I committed to doing, starting now? How will I show up differently? In my health, my relationships, my career, my emotions." Don't just awaken the giant within. Unleash it. Feed it. Lead with it. Because nothing changes until you do. You've awakened the giant. Now live it. Thank you for joining this journey through Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. If this audiobook summary empowered you, like this video, subscribe to BookMind and share it with someone who's ready to take charge of their life. Remember, information alone doesn't change your life. Application does. So take what you've learned and go live the life you were born for. We'll see you in the next book. Until then, stay powerful.